Hello, today I'm looking at this Peugeot 207. This one won't start, in fact it won't even crank. It's not cranking, there's no communication with the scan tool to the engine ECU, so I'm going to start by looking into that. Has it got its powers and grounds at the engine ECU? Has it got CAN bus? And check out what's going there. I'll show you the engine. So it's a petrol engine like you would see in a BMW Mini, so no communications though, so that's where I'm going to start checking the fuses maybe and things like that. The scan tool's not giving me any fault codes other than other modules saying it can't communicate to the engine ECU. It's one of the problems with this car not having any communication to the engine ECU. Got the engine ECU off the car here and you see all the corrosion. Now, the rest of it doesn't look too bad, it's just that area that makes me think it's probably gone down the coolant temperature sensor wire, capillary motion, and it's actually broken one of those pins off there. So I'm going to have to find a way to see what the pin does and see if I can do something to make that pin work again. There's nothing left, that's stuck in the multi-plug. So this is one of the problems with it. There's no communication to the engine ECU, but there's also no power getting to the engine ECU, so I need to look at what's before this, why there's no power. But I'm going to open this up, because if that's totally corroded inside, there's a bit of a stain on it there. If it's totally corroded like that inside, it might not be worth me going any further. Here's the ECU with the top off, and if you look in there you can see one of the pins is missing. It's not the row on the right that's slightly bigger pins, the next row over, top to bottom. From the top it's the second row down, on the right side about there. That's missing its pin, so it'll be stuck in the plug. Also needs a bit better of a clean up, but what I noticed when I was on this side, I put a small screwdriver and I gently tugged on it and it pulled it off, so it's almost corroded right through there. So what I'm going to do is use that and put some heat shrink down there so it doesn't touch the other pins if it moves about, and put a wire, and I think there's enough room right about here somewhere. There's enough room between these two plugs that I'm going to be able to run a wire externally, because I don't have any of these pins to replace it, and I'll just see if that helps it to begin with. It doesn't look too corroded inside here, looks like all the corrosion's on here, but if it's enough to weaken the pins to the point of the break-in, that's not good. So I'll do this, seal it up again, and then see what's happening after that. Here's the faulty pin right there, stuck in there. My finger is, don't know if it's going to focus, which is on this side, this yellow wire that I've snipped. It's not a thick wire, could just be the wiring diagram that I looked at said it was going to the front oxygen sensor. However, I want to fix it anyway, because that's going to have fault codes even if it was just that. Let's see what we've got here. No, I don't have, from what I can see, I don't know if you can see it, I don't have a yellow wire going down there. Oh, they do. So that's good. The bottom one, that's oxygen sensor. So we need to fix that anyway. Otherwise it wouldn't be running right. So I'll fix that. That's a very important one. Otherwise it would be an open loop all the time. So I don't think this is going to fix it starting, but this is going to fix a problem that it would need sorted. Okay, so I'll get that. I did check here and here for 5 volts or 12 volts. I was looking for a signal supply of 5 volts. I didn't have it at those two camshaft sensors. So I unplugged these and I didn't have, from what I could check, I didn't have any volts at any of them. I had to do something to get the car here as a temporary fix. I'll show you that in a second, but I'll just stick to this side of it for now, what I'm doing here. put this together and see what happens. But because that, according to the wiring diagram, did look to be for the oxygen sensor, and it is correct, it's the same colour, so I'm guessing it's correct. But we do need to fix that, we can't leave it. So I'll get that on there, give it another spray with the WD-40 contact cleaner, try and get this better cleaned out. And hopefully I can figure out what's going on with it. This is just one of the problems though that I'm going to have to fix. I don't think it's going to make the car start. Here's the wire soldered onto that pin just there. Heat shrink and then another of heat shrink over the top of it. And the wire comes through here, through the hole that I've put in there. I've actually put a knot just in case somebody at some time tugs on the wire. And I'm going to put some sealant to fill that hole up. I've got to reseal all this around here anyway when I put the ECU together. So that's my next stage. Apply the sealant, and then this yellow wire matches the yellow wire that it goes onto on the car. So that's all I'm going to do now, clean this sealant off, put new stuff on and seal that hole up too and let it set. There's the wire coming out, and a few of those pins still have a bit of corrosion, so I want to clean them up a bit better than I have done and try it, see what happens. If it might be one of those pins, there's a wake up that's going to switch the ECU on, so I might fix it. Usually this sort of repair I would do on something like a background and a backlight of a car where all the lights are not working properly, and I would go around the track for all the grounds and put a wire on and get a bit of ground on it if it's totally corroded. I wouldn't usually do something like this on an engine ECU, but it's just a connector, it might work. If it was outside the ECU, I would have thought nothing of soldering a wire. So it's not that different doing it inside once you know which one it is that you need to fix. Okay, that's it done. I'll put back together, I've not tried it yet. So I got the yellow wires. For now I know I've only twisted it, it's not ideal. It's just, I might need to do more stuff. I'm going to do it properly when I need to, and it's not resting on anything metal. Got the fuse box here. This is, before what I had to do was give it power to a few of these wires to get the car here. So I've cut those wires that I joined in off. It's all back to standard here. No additional wiring. The only thing I've done now is connected that yellow wire where it had broke the pin on the inside of the ECU. So I'm going to go and try and start it. Hopefully it's going to go, but we never know. Right. Before it was a no crank, so I'm getting the engine light. It's actually, well, it started, I don't know if you can hear it, but it started, so no engine light, no nothing, so that's pretty good. Maybe that's all it was, a yellow wire. I suppose I could confirm it by switching it off, disconnecting that yellow wire, and see if it starts. If it doesn't start, then I know that's what it was, but that was something that said it was for the oxygen sensor, so I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of that at all, but I'll go and disconnect the wire, see if it starts. That's it disconnected, the wire that I put in the ECU earlier on. That's partly why I just twisted them together for now. I'm going to go and try it again. Now, the other thing is, I suppose if it does start, it could just be because I filed all the other green corroded pins in there whilst I was at it to clean them up. Let's see. Nothing. Look. No crank. No crank. So that's it. That's the problem then. Put that wire back together. It does say it goes to the oxygen sensor, and the wire did go to the oxygen sensor, but it must do something else as well. So let's join that together. If it starts again now, we're definitely fixed it. Just twisted them together for now. I just want to know, is this making a difference? The yellow wire. Interesting. So let's see now. I have to press my foot on the clutch as well. I don't know. Yeah, now it's cranking and it starts. So it clearly needs that yellow wire. That means we're spot on to doing what we did. The yellow wire did need fixed. Where it's in the ECU, the pin had broken. Actually right at the connector, so there wasn't much, there was only a stump of it left on the inside of the ECU, but I managed to solder onto it with a wire and run it through the ECU like you saw. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, I kind of wasn't convinced. I was thinking this was going to be more to this job than there was, because of the fact that the wiring diagram shows that to be going to the oxygen sensor. Anyway, I'll build it up, clear the fault codes, and road test it. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody, and thanks for watching. One extra thing I should say is I'm going to have to fix the coolant temperature sensor so that we don't have the coolant coming through the wire again back into the ECU. Don't want that to happen again. I don't have one now, it's too late in the day to order it. I haven't ordered it because I didn't know what I'd need. If I was going to need ECUs and it was impossible to fix, I didn't want to go ordering parts to put in a car for no reason at all. So I'm guessing now that's all good. Like I say, I started checking for power here, had nothing. When I was at the side of the road, it was a busy road, I couldn't do much, but I did notice this 5 amp fuse right there had no power. And when I gave it power, then you could hear the engine make noises. It still wouldn't start, but it would let you crank. And the next one I had was the fuel pump, which was this sort of wire over here, and you can see where I've tapped into them, because that's how I got it back, a bit of solder on the wire, and I got the cars back. This one here, now that's the fuel pump right there, that big one. So I went into that. I knew it was the fuel pump because I went to the fuel pump and saw the colour of the wire, and when I powered it at the fuel pump with a power probe, I was able to get the car to start. So then I just found the wire up here, realised it was the same wire by trying it, and this one, with this disconnected, when I powered up at the fuel pump where I did before, I had a test light in here and it lit up the test light, so I knew it was the same wire. So then I gave it power here and I gave it power at that little fuse. It was able to start the fuel pump, switch on the engine ECU and drive it back, but it's not right. You can't drive it like that all the time, but that was a way to get it going. But now we've found the actual fault, worked with that and fixed it, so the cause of the fault, so it doesn't do it again, has to be done. That's the water coolant temperature sensor, so I need to do that again. But these wires that I don't need, I can cut them right down now, because it's all working as it should do. It was just one thing, that ECU, but I saved them in ECU, so that's ideal. I'll just, like I say, I'll piece it together. I will have to change the coolant temperature sensor though before it does it again, so that's all we need to do on this. So thanks for watching.